Good afternoon everyone, hope you're all doing well. Jack again, tailor-made fly fish. I have had a request of a customer to show the technique on how I single spey cast with a single-handed fly rod. And as for going for a cast goes, you don't have to tell me twice. So here we are on the river and I'm going to show you. I'm going to start by saying you need a line that's capable of spey casting, because depending on the shape and where the weight in the line is positioned will sort of, well, it has a big effect on how a line goes out. So it's got to be a certain shape to spey cast basically. Today I'm using the presentation line from TaylorMade Fly Fish. It's a line I've designed tailor-made. It's an outstanding spey casting fly line. It's got a 35-foot head, which is important because the line that you're controlling doesn't need to be too long. The longer it is, the harder it is to control. And on a 9.5-foot rod, you don't need 45, 50-foot line to try and keep under control, because it's difficult for anyone. Doesn't matter what your casting ability is. So this line is a twin colour line, and the colour change is placed at the back of the head, which is the sweet spot for the most amount of line you can carry before picking up to cast or making the forward cast. Any more than the colour change at the tip of the rod, you're just making it hard for yourself. It's the correct shape to spey cast, but it is also a beautiful overhead casting line as well. It's got power and presentation. But today it's all about a single spey. I'm going to start by saying the most important part of this cast is the lift. You can see when I'm lifting to start the cast, most of the line is coming clear of the surface of the water. And for a single spey cast to work well, it's got to start well to finish well. I'm basically going to lift the rod tip to a point and it'll peel the line off nice and clean. And it's a case of sweeping round to an anchor, which then puts load on the rod, which then allows you to transfer energy into the line and make the cast. And what's important is a sweep back to make an anchor and a D-loop to load the rod. I want to keep the rod tip at the same level. So it's coming round, sweep, anchor and cast. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people lift and on the sweep drop the rod, which brings line onto the surface. So it lands in a pile. So when you then deliver the cast, it's inefficient, because you're basically pulling more line with more tension off the surface of the river or still water or wherever you might be fishing. But the key is lift smooth, and then the sweep to the anchor has got to be your reverse of the lift, because you lift and the tip leaves the surface last. But on the anchor, the very tip of the fly line needs to touch down first. So you've got a very delicate, precise anchor. It's not landing in a heap. You can lift, sweep, and anchor. And as you can see, it's landing smooth and clean. If you can land it smooth and clean, it'll deliver smooth and clean. So I'm lifting, sweeping round to your anchor, which loads the rod, and then delivering the cast. The timing for this cast has to be perfect. But I can't stress enough how important the lift and the sweep to the anchor is. So you lift, sweep, anchor. As you can see, it's landing nice. It's a very quiet cast, so you're not thrashing the surface of the water and spooking the pool. And once you've got this all under control, then you can worry about loading the rod and then making your forward cast. I use this cast for the most simple way of changing direction. it involves the least movements to change direction. So you're not overhead casting round in an arc to where you want to go. I just lift the rod tip, sweep it back as I've shown you. As the rod tip comes past the tip of my nose, I twist and then cast it. Cast it to where I want the line to go. And as you can see, change direction cast. There's no excessive overhead casts, and there's no easier way of changing direction when fishing down a river, down pools. You've got to lift, smooth, sweep it round to an anchor, and then cast. Because as you sweep it round and anchor that line, that's loading the rod, which then transfers energy from you up the rod into the fly line and delivers the cast. I can't stress enough how smooth the pickup has to be. And then to the anchor, you lift, tip of the line leaves the surface last, but as you drop down to your anchor, the tip of the line's got to touch first, so you're not bringing line down onto the surface and having a very inefficient cast, pulling tangles and loop out of the spot here. Lift to a smooth anchor and then deliver the cast. And as you can see, everything's smooth, so it's delivering smooth, casting out smooth. But if you start the cast as jumpy or anything, then everything that follows is going to be a mess. But it's just a case of lift, keep the rod tip at the same height as your sweep back, anchor and cast. And a lot of energy goes through the rod into the line, but with very little casting effort. This does the work. The rod load down here, which is important if you want to transfer energy efficiently from you into the line. So it's lift, sweep, anchor, and send the cast out. But, as I keep saying, that lift is number one. If that's smooth to an anchor, then you're probably going to keep tension in the cast and everything else will be smooth and present. But lift, twist to an anchor, and then let it go. It does not get any easier, but it takes a bit of practice to get this bit nice and smooth. So as you can see, where it's landing on the water here, it's got very little disturbance on the pool. The more you practice lifting, sweeping, and getting a smooth anchor, the more efficient the cast will be, and it'll be easier. But if you get too much line down, it just takes the energy out of the forward stroke of the cast. So yeah, you lift, let your peel and the sticker off nice and smooth, and then do the reverse of that. The tip land first, and out it goes. I'll show you again. Lift to 45 degrees, sweep back until the rod tip passes your nose, twist your hips into it, and then make your cast at 45 degrees or whatever you like fishing across a pool before swinging the fly. It's all going to be nice and smooth. I'll show you again. Lift, sweep, anchor, and cast. And as you can see, it's transferring loads of energy with little effort into the cast. So that's less overhead cast. It's the easiest way to pick off, change direction and cast. It's the most effective because you're not carrying loads of line all the way down the pool, which also spooks fish. And yeah, it makes your fishing much more enjoyable. It's lift, nice and smooth, anchor and cast. I hope that helps. If you've got any more questions, send me an email at support@tailormadeflyfish.com. And as always, look after yourself folks, and maybe I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.